It was a cold Friday night on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. Officer Sarah Mitchell, a 35-year-old police officer known for her courage, stopped at a quiet gas station near the highway to grab a cup of coffee before ending her shift. The station was nearly deserted, with only the hum of neon lights flickering above. As she stepped back toward her patrol car, she noticed a black van creeping into the alley behind the building. Her instincts sharpened. She reached for her radio, but never got the chance to call for backup. 3 men jumped out of the van, faces hidden under hoods. One of them sneered, "You remember Tony, cop?" "He remembers you." Sarah instantly recognized the gang's name, men she'd arrested weeks earlier in a drug bust. Before she could react, they lunged at her. She fought hard, landing punches, trying to reach her weapon, but a brutal hit to the ribs sent her crashing to the ground. The men grabbed her arms, dragging her behind the gas station toward the dumpsters. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she kicked and struggled. Just then, the low thunder of motorcycles echoed in the distance. A dozen engines closing in fast. The gang members froze when the roar of motorcycles filled the air. Headlights pierced the darkness as a group of riders rolled into the lot, their leather jackets marked with the unmistakable emblem of the Hells Angels. Leading them was Jack "Iron" Lawson, a broad-shouldered man in his early 40s with steel-gray eyes and a calm, dangerous presence. He stepped off his bike, scanning the scene. 3 thugs, a bloodied female cop on the ground. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice low but commanding. One of the men spat, "Stay out of this, old man. It's none of your business." Jack's lips curled into a thin smile. "It is now." Before the thug could react, Jack's fist connected with his jaw, sending him sprawling. The rest of the bikers surged forward, fists, chains, and boots flying in brutal precision. Within seconds, the attackers were either unconscious or fleeing into the dark. Jack knelt beside Sarah, pulling off his jacket and draping it around her shoulders. "You're safe now, officer," he said quietly. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder by the second. Jack stood and gave a sharp nod to his crew. "Mount up. We were never here." Moments later, they disappeared into the night. At the hospital, Sarah lay on a stretcher with bruises on her arms and a deep cut on her lip. Her captain stood beside her, disbelief written across his face. "You're saying the Hells Angels saved you?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "If they hadn't shown up, I'd be dead." The department tried to keep the story quiet, fearing public backlash. The idea of outlaw bikers rescuing a police officer didn't fit any narrative. But Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the man who had covered her with his jacket and vanished before backup arrived. Meanwhile, miles away, Jack Lawson and his crew sat around a campfire in the desert, the night wind howling around them. One of the bikers muttered, "Boss, saving a cop? That's bad for our image." Jack exhaled a long plume of smoke. "Sometimes doing what's right means breaking your own rules." His men fell silent, respecting the weight of his words. Days later, Sarah found a plain envelope on her desk. Inside was Jack's Hells Angels patch and a note that read, "You earned this more than I did. Remember, good and bad ain't always what it seems." She stared at it for a long time, deeply moved. Weeks later, Sarah returned to duty, but the memory of that night refused to fade. The bruises healed, yet the image of Jack Lawson's steady eyes stayed with her. Late one evening, unable to let it go, she began digging into his past. What she found surprised her. A decorated Marine veteran turned biker after losing faith in the system he once served. Something inside her shifted. She wanted to understand, not just as a cop, but as a human being. Through a trusted contact, she managed to send word asking to meet him. A week later, at a quiet roadside diner outside Tucson, Jack walked in wearing his leather jacket, calm and guarded. "Didn't think you'd actually show," he said. Sarah smiled faintly. "You saved my life. I needed to say thank you." They talked for hours about justice, loyalty, and the thin lines between right and wrong. When they finally stood to leave, Jack said, "Maybe one day people will see there's more to us than what they're told." Then he rode off into the night, engines roaring into silence. Sarah watched him disappear, the Hells Angels patch still hidden in her bag, a reminder of unexpected redemption.